feeling generous. Forget these 1 month diamond memberships, 1 year.
Wow.
In celebration of Fabiano Caruana getting his first win against Magnus in a very long time in the SEC.
Yeah, look, it did happen by time there, but that's the one moment where, even though it ended by a flag, I'll be the first to say, like, I don't think you need to feel bad at all. First of all, Fabi's had his own issues with flagging in this match, but I'll also say that was an incredible series of moves, only moves. Like, that was extremely accurate and high-level chess because Magnus, I think he objectively played a phenomenal kind of sacrifice, practical play, and Fabi just navigated it, almost engine-like. Like, he had to play those best moves to emerge on top, and he did. Yeah. So he definitely earned and deserved that full point.
Yeah. And apologies, I didn't even realize it was a flag. I thought Magnus had thrown in the towel, but the evaluation was high enough. White was up 2 pawns. Only Fabiano could win, so he should not feel bad at all. Flag or resign. He gets his first victory against Magnus in a long time. And hey, we have a match here. Despite how awkward this day has been, Amon, and despite how tough of a start it was for Fabi, he's down 1 game right now. And who knows, maybe he levels it up before we go to the break.
Yeah, exactly right. Look at that match clock, top left of your screen, 5+1 ticking down. Extremely likely, almost guaranteed that this will be the final game, which means you're absolutely right. We could be at 3.5. And I think regardless, Fabi, even if he draws here, I mean, I think he's doing quite well, not just in the match in general, but considering how he's gotten here, the circumstances thus far. That was a really nice game for him to bounce back, and kind of typical Fabiano style. Like, he challenges himself, puts himself in a position that is risky, but if he finds those best moves and he trusts himself too, then look what happens.
Yeah. No, he's willing to take on those types of positions, highly accurate as a chess player, and also kind of likes those technical games where he has to find the best move. I think he thrives in a lot of those positions with accurate calculation being required, whether pushing or defending. And so that was good stuff. And here we go with, all right, still just a very very equal looking game. Funny Italian that we had here. Now here Magnus is just going to go for f4 and try to use the f file, but watch c2 first.
Yeah, the thing about this position is you kind of have to play f4 as white because black's about to play f5, and it doesn't really look like a good position there. Here you're actually conceding the e5 square, but because black has a light squared bishop, there's no way that black sort of permanently ever controls e5 because, yeah, like for example, knight f3 here, you're always covering that square. There's no amount of you could take that knight, put it on d7, and the white knight would reroute to also hit e5. There's no way that Fabi controls that square. So I think that's why Magnus is feeling, comfortable here, but a little bit annoying having to guard c2, but you can throw it right back at him with knight b5 and hit the c7 pawn. For now, you're highlighting this pin is quite annoying to deal with.
Yeah, I was just showing that it is an irritating pin, especially if you don't take care of it. But already knight d4 helps because at least now you could move the rook or queen off in the next move if you needed to. Knight d4, kind of a dual purpose move. It also protects c2 so that if you want, you can get back to doubling the rooks, the plan you kind of started when you played f4 long ago to open the file. So I think the rook could move here. The queen could move to get off the pin. Magnus a little better and kind of taking a moment to see what choice he wants to make.
Yep. Bishop to d7, looking to play rook a8 to e8 almost certainly. You can strengthen the pawns with b6 on the queen side, but you may also want to reserve those queenside pawns for perhaps a move like c6 because the b5 square is ready to be occupied by Magnus, one of those knights. And yeah, you highlight sliding that queen over makes a lot of sense. Rook h4 to follow. That's immediately a pretty high quality threat.
Well, doubles the rooks, just like we said, and a diamond membership is going to Sean Chess, just like we said. Wait, is that Staff? If that's Sean, that he's not getting a diamond membership. We're giving it to someone else. Sorry, Sean. You don't need it. Okay, no. Sean, you don't get a diamond membership. Everyone shame Sean. He doesn't get a diamond membership. Someone else gets it.
Great stuff by Sean.
What is going on here?
Not a good look for the chat, Danny, to be, you got the staff quicker than the whole chat there.
I don't know, but we're gonna figure it out. All right, queen to f2 played. The computer loves white because Magnus is threatening to take f7. Like that's a problem. You're hitting both the knight and the pawn. Knight takes c2 was just not a good idea by Fabi.
I mean, it's kind of a one mover, but if you look at the previous move, c5, it's also not a great looking move after knight b5. Even if there was
Yeah.
no pawn to win, the pieces are, they don't seem to be in their best positions. Almost +3 here. So this is highly concerning because where's the knight going to go? I'm assuming we're about to see knight d4 just for like lack of, anything else. But if you play
Yeah.
knight d4, rook takes on f7. I'm trying to find a way to keep it playable. Maybe like g6 after rook takes f7, but it's very, very shaky.
I mean, I think we are definitely going to see this being the last game, but it got so bad so fast. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if Fabi like resigned and we got one more 5-minute game. You see him shaking his head. Okay, we're a few seconds away. Okay, that's not going to happen. But there was a moment there where you see Fabi clearly dejected. I thought we might actually get one of those really rare last second games in. But no, Fabi lets the time run out, and I think he will lose this one and be down by 2 games heading into the 3-minute portion.
Yeah, at f7 hanging here and the c2 knight, like I actually don't see anything else. So rook takes f7. I guess we'll see g6 or I guess g5, but g6 seems to make more sense. You could also move the rook.
We trade
like
everything.
rook
But I think if you take d4 and then take everything on f8, the king and pawn ending is just lost. Like I think this is like that resignable that fast. It's like because the problem with f7 falling, everybody, it wasn't just the pawn; it's the back rank threats. And so if you play g6, everything gets traded in a lost king and pawn ending, which for these guys is just resign already.
I'm assuming that that's correct, but I'm not 100% sure. And honestly, as white, you have to be pretty sure before you go all the way into that. But I know what you mean. That on the side, that's the variation I want to calculate. When I'm in the game, I'm like, oh no, I hate the pressure of being correct about that. So I think he's gone for a different line, Fabi. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're probably looking to just double rooks on the 7th here, if you can, like rook c7 or rook e7. That looks pretty good.
e5 opens up. The queen keeps an eye on the g7 pawn, which is irritating AF, irritating as Fabi, the kids like to say. This is
I've met those kids.
Yeah, you've never heard irritating AF, which refers to as Fabi?
No, I must have been kids around your area.
Yeah, weird kids. All right, queen g6 is played, and I think your idea of moving the rook, I don't know if it's e7 or c7 looks good. Although if you did come down, Fabi might just give up the queen for 2 rooks and try to hold that way. Not to say you can't hold, but that might be what he does.
Yeah, I'm thinking if there's any, like you could play. I was thinking about d6, but just unnecessary. I don't know. Rook e7 with the idea of the other rook coming to f7. Not to mention rook f3, rook g3 looks really, really nice. And you also have like queen e6, maybe take with the pawn. Like I'm starting to feel so many moves work. d6, all looks good.
Your idea of d6, I think, is great. Note, everybody, that the queen can't take. That's checkmate. And if the rook takes, if you don't have anything else, you could even just take g7, and then when the queen moves, you pick back up your rook on d6. So, okay, Magnus plays a good old-fashioned family fun, grind-it-out move. He's just going to go to g3. But I think your idea of d6 did work.
So rook g3, rook takes e7, queen b8. There is queen e8, which... let's say ends the fun, because almost looks like that might win straight away, but I suspect d6 looks pretty good here.
Yep, Magnus likes it too.
Maybe take with the queen, and you have that like nice I guess queen e7 or pawn e7. It all looks pretty winning, so I think Magnus is showing that with his relaxed posture here. And it's actually just going to be a resignation. I don't know what went wrong in that one for Fabi, but it really was just a one mover, right? That knight takes c2 was way too ambitious, and queen f2 as a reaction. The game was effectively over from there.
Yeah, it really was. It was a one move blunder, Knight takes c2. I mean, your point though, c5, the move before, was not a good idea to invite the knight to b5 and weaken d6. But anyway, you and I are analyzing it in our head. We shouldn't do that because the players are on camera and no one